Y'all already know what the going on. Lil Tay's back. It's been 5 years and y'all still broke. The GOAT is back. 5 years and I'm still the youngest one out. 5 years and y'all are still broke. So don't take it out on me.
Lil Tay really faked her death just to come back to drop a mid-music video, followed up by her same cringe antics of saying everyone else is broke, she's rich. How's it possible that someone that's so young and is so successful? And she just basically went on this campaign of saying everyone else is stupid and she's a genius. And I hate it. I hate her music. I hate her antics. I just hate her as a person. And you know what? That's actually good for her, because my hatred, along with everyone else's hatred, comes together and forms a gigantic spirit bomb called clout. Believe it or not, to be hated is better to be hated by a million than to be loved by 10. That hatred and interaction actually equates to success and actually equates to interaction. And it's actually very common. I mean, Lil Tay is not the first person to figure out that if you get people pissed off, they'll comment on your video, they'll interact with your posts, and from there, they'll basically come through and boost you in the algorithm. And eventually, you'll hit enough waterheads and people dumb enough to actually like the content where you make a buck off it. I mean, this is something that Andrew Tate did as well, where he would call people brokies and get people upset. And from there, he was able to parlay that into his actual career of basically just talking smack online. He started off saying cringy things just to be hated, and from there progressed into an actual online personality. Now, it's very interesting seeing this because there's multiple avenues to accomplish this goal. You can be hated for a number of reasons, and I'd like to list a couple and then get to a great example of someone that is so hateable that I actually love him. He's actually a lovable guy. Now, a couple of things I've seen on my Instagram that have revolved around my algorithm that I've seen multiple times, who is hated or is disgusting, and that's the only reason they exist and the only reason I'm aware of them. First person being this person named poweful, where he literally just shares his life, and his life is so disgusting and so nasty that people have to come out and hate. He just shows his roach-infested room, he shows his disgusting chair, he shows the corner where he poops every day. It really is a nasty, disgusting existence, but in his defense, if I lived in a roach-infested apartment, first reaction would be to go out to spend money and get a roach removal crew. Whereas with this guy, instead of calling pest control, he just makes it an antic. He makes it a meme that then gets popular. As disgusting as it is, he probably got some followers off this. He actually got some online interactions, and he's got hundreds of thousands of views as well as likes. So really, who's the real loser? I mean, he actually lives in a bum state. He lives in a homeless shelter, not even a homeless shelter, a homeless tent, a hobo tent, and is able to parlay that into online interactions, which obviously the internet is more important than real life at this point. So that's a W in my opinion.
I didn't touch it, but I got the towel off my floor. I used this last time. It's dry now, so it's good to go. Put it on the toilet. It's a good spot to grab it. Do you guys see any roaches? Because I don't. That's right. The rats have been doing a good trick. Now look how clean I am. I did not like the shower, but you got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Look at this milk. I'm going to turn it into butter one day. Y'all just wait. I'm churning and churning.
Now, the next example I'll give is something that's a little bit more common. It's actually a page ripped right out of Andrew Tate's book, and that would be the finance bro who gets people to hate him because he's so successful.
How many people can you call up and be like, yo, can you wire me $1 million? I'll send you, I'm good for it. Oh, you don't have those friends? I do. So I can tell you it's real. Oh no, there's no way that's because you're a peasant. You don't understand these things. In due time, be quiet. Think more than 4 seconds before you speak. Don't be reactive, be proactive. Listen, maybe I'm not wasting my time here. Maybe I'm trying to teach you something that's good for you.
Isn't that great? He's literally a clone of Andrew Tate circa 2022. He's just an individual that goes out there and tells people you're broke, you're a loser, you should come join my Discord and figure out how to make millions. Now with this, at least the motivation is pretty clear. He's hoping that enough people will interact with him where his posts become somewhat viral, in which case he'll catch people to actually join his Discord group and he'll make money off it. In my opinion, I like posters like this because it's just so fun to hate them. And I like the fact that although he is very hateable and although there is interactions, he definitely is nowhere near the mega stratosphere that is Andrew Tate. So as long as he's in this purgatory of being hated and not that popular, I like it. And I enjoy hating on this individual personally. So hopefully he stays in this sweet spot where he's not popular enough to make money, but is popular enough where I can keep seeing him and still stay hating. Now, this next person is someone who goes into the category of being completely unhinged. He's someone who literally exists on Instagram to cook food in his hotel bathroom. Now, when it comes to character development, I don't know the lore of this person. I don't know if he's legitimately a divorced dad who just sits in a hotel bathroom cooking food, but it's genuinely disgusting seeing him create a pork roast in the bathroom 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, despite all this, he actually has somewhat of a decent following. He has somewhat of decent interactions. I wouldn't say it's enough to cook your food in the bathroom and risk getting syphilis as well as salmonella, but it seems like he's someone who knows what he's doing. He's someone who enjoys what he's doing. So if he really gets a sick enjoyment from cooking pork in the middle of the night in a hotel bathroom, good for him. I only mention him to say that it's actually pretty dedicated, because this isn't something that's easily like hateable. Like, you can't just go out there and like dump Kool-Aid on your head in the middle of a grocery store. That's very easy. People will hate you. You may or may got traction off that. But this guy, it seems like it's actually part of his identity, which is, you know, one part disgusting, but also genius, because if I was a divorced dad sitting in a hotel room, instead of cooking in the bathroom, I probably would just hang myself. But, you know, he figured out a way to get online interaction out of it, so that's actually something that's beneficial in the end. Now, this next person is actually pretty entertaining, and I like them personally just because of the fact they engineered an entire satirical character just to get hate. And enough people now see him and understand that he's being satirical that it became love. And at the same time, he still gets a steady stream of people who are dumb enough to think that he actually wants to be a commentator, comment telling him you are not good enough to be a commentator, and continue to propel him in the algorithm and the system.
So many men. There's so many men. No, no, no. Naughty, naughty. No, no, no.
I think it's funny when you see posts like this. It's a double-edged sword. One side, you may hate the actual creator, but at the other side, you have to realize that they only exist because people are there interacting to say they hate them. If people just scroll past this and ignored this in all these categories, then the individual wouldn't exist. There'd be no real algorithmic sense. There'd be no reason to even know they are on the internet. But because people don't like something and because they don't like it strong enough to comment, that's what propels the interaction, and that's what propels them further when it comes to actually being, you know, recognizable and trending. I think it's funny because it's literally so ridiculously garbage that taking him seriously would be pretty insane. It's kind of like how Dax Flame used to be back in the day, but even more tone deaf. So I honestly don't know how you could think this guy's being legitimate, but I enjoy the hatred towards him and I enjoy the hate comments. Now, with all this being said, all these different examples, I think you get an idea now. People go out there with some type of a intention, some type of motivation, and in all these different scenarios, there are people who, for the most part, are somewhat new. I've been aware of them the past couple of weeks, maybe they've been active the past couple of months, but they're not really career hateables. You know, they're not like Lil Tay, who've been in the game for years, but there's one person I gotta respect because he's been going strong for a year and he continues the hate train. And that individual goes by the name of Kia Mints on TikTok. Lately, I've been seeing him more and more in fitness content, where I'll be going through and seeing Sam Sulek posts, and then you'll see this guy pop up giving trash fitness advice, thus enraging the fitness community, thus getting hate comments, thus getting traction, and thus trending.
Bro skips every leg day. I don't usually do legs as it's personally not worth my time, because I'm happy with the way my legs look already since I'm going for aesthetics over mass. That being said, I still make sure to engage in activities that challenge and strengthen my legs, such as going on walks and using my standing desk to work. Not everyone in the gym will have the same physique goals, and you definitely don't need to work every single muscle group just to look good or notice any progress.
Now, one thing to take into consideration is that not only does he give out trash fitness advice like this, but he also, a year ago, was trending because he basically took the genius approach of saying that streaming and online content creation is much harder than working a 9-to-5.
Tired from what? Content creation is harder than your 9-to-5. You really don't know how much hard work goes into creating multiple videos a day. Being constantly creative with new video ideas, trying to make footage look good, getting new shots, taking many takes over and over, it can get to be a lot. So yeah, I'm tired.
Now, this take from a year ago actually landed him some significant hatred from people online, enough to have YouTube commentators and reactionaries come out and say this guy's a weirdo, this guy's a soy boy, this guy really thinks that streaming is harder than working a 9 to 5. And again, this is where the interesting part of this whole hate economy comes in. You have people reacting to this individual that is bolstering them, but at the same time, how do you not know that he exists just to be hated? Like, how do you not understand that this guy's entire profile is him giving trash life advice, trash fitness advice, and you don't get that he's doing it just for the sake of attention, that he's doing it just to be hated? And the thing is that's so weird to me is that I find it entertaining to a degree, because once you look past the wall, once you look past the fact that he exists just because people hate him, you then start to realize the genius behind it. The idea being that there's millions of people online that'll go out there and make content. Perhaps it's good, perhaps it's boring, but it doesn't get much traction. But if you go out there and you evoke an emotion, make people feel something, have them go out there and say, this is hot garbage, this is disgusting, by actually putting out that negativity in the universe, much like Omega Shenron, you're actually moving the needle in life. You're actually kind of doing something with it. It's almost tempting to say that if you look at it from that perspective, that using negativity, using hatred is a better tool than love, because honestly, I've seen more people talk about shit they don't like than people they do like. I mean, there's literally an entire movement of people who talk about things they don't like and not what they do like. And when you think about it a little bit more deeper and you think about it a little bit more cautiously, think about it from a societal perspective. Do you really know what you like? I'm sure there's some things you like, but finding out what you love is a little bit hard. But finding out what you hate is extremely easy. And I'll leave it at this. I think one thing that's important to take into consideration with this whole hate content is that there actually is alternatives that you can like, you can support, and if you were to do that, it would actually dampen out and destroy all this hate content. I mean, in all reality, if you found fitness content that you didn't like, was stupid, was cringy, instead of commenting on it, liking it, or just making a reaction to it, you could then find content that you do like. You could go watch Rich Piana, you could go watch Sam Sulek and say, wow, this is actually good. This is a great example of good content. Because if you actually live in this world where you just gravitate to things that you hate, you then become something that only knows what you don't like. You don't like this, and you only watch this to continue to not like it. You continue to build your hatred, and you then continue to build things that you hate. I mean, I think it's pretty crazy that when you look at something as significant as a presidential election, it was actually motivated by people's hatred as opposed to what they did like. People voted for Donald Trump because they hated Joe Biden. People voted for Joe Budden because they hated Donald Trump. Joe Budden actually won the presidential election because so many people hated Donald Trump. Now, imagine if people voted or did things based off of what they liked. Imagine if before it gets to the point of I hate this more than I hate that, what if you just bolstered things that you do like? But that's the odd thing about all this, is that hatred is so much more powerful than love. I mean, I can think of multiple hate comments I've seen, and I remember them, but it's kind of hard to remember people who are positive, people who are actually nice, people who are actually enjoyable. It's very easy to remember hatred in a historical context. When you think of historical figures that are terrible, Hitler, Pol Pot, Stalin rolls off the top of my tongue, but when it comes to good individuals, it becomes a lot more difficult. It seems like hatred is just so powerful, it just resonates with you so much so that it's hard to forget. But I think one thing I'll take away from this is that I'll try to not interact with things that I hate so much, and try to focus on things I actually like, unless I want to turn into something like Ben Shapiro.
At the end of every single video, make sure you ask people to rate and subscribe to your content. It makes them feel like they're involved even though they're really not. And most importantly, make sure they comment on every single video. If you have to, disguise it. You know, call it something like the question of the day. And really make them think you're gonna really read it when you really don't have to. Ha ha ha!